A young woman, Lucy, in her mid-20s, sits in a small, cozy apartment. The room is dimly lit, with only the light from the TV screen casting flickering shadows. The apartment feels unnaturally quiet, almost too still. The only sound is a faint ticking from a nearby clock. Lucy glances over at the closed bedroom door across the room. It's barely visible in the darkness. Her eyes flicker towards it again and again, but she quickly looks away, trying to focus on the TV. The ticking sound becomes louder. Lucy stands up, walks toward the kitchen. The apartment seems unnervingly quiet. She hears a soft knock on the bedroom door. She approaches the door, hesitant, feeling a chill in the air. She places her hand on the handle but pulls back suddenly, unsure. The knock comes again, this time louder. The faint creaking sound of the door handle jiggles. Lucy opens the door just a crack, peeking into the darkness of the room. The only sound is the low hum of the air conditioning. The bed is undisturbed. Nothing seems out of place. She steps into the room, slowly, her footsteps barely making a sound. She walks to the closet, opens it, and inspects the inside. Empty. But something feels off. Lucy, maybe it was the wind. Lucy's back is turned as she begins walking toward the door to leave. Then she hears a soft whisper, barely audible, coming from behind her. It's not her own voice. Voice Lucy, ... Lucy freezes. The whisper echoes in the stillness of the room, but she can't pinpoint where it came from. She turns slowly, searching for the source. Lucy, who's there? No answer. Lucy's eyes wander around the room, as if expecting something to reveal itself. Then she notices something strange. A small, old key sitting on the nightstand. She hadn't noticed it before. She picks up the key, inspecting it. The weight feels wrong, heavy. She stares at it, unease creeping over her. Lucy, what is this? Lucy walks to the hallway, feeling the need to check the locked storage closet at the end. The key feels colder now in her palm. The closet is always locked, but she doesn't have the key. Or did she? She slowly turns the key in the storage closet's lock. The door opens, and she expects it to be empty. Instead, a chair sits in the center of the room, facing the wall. A chair that wasn't there before. Lucy, no. Lucy steps closer to the chair, the eerie silence making her breath heavier. Then she sees it. A message carved into the backrest of the chair. The message reads, "It will never stop. You can never leave." Lucy, what is this? Suddenly, the door slams shut behind her. Lucy jumps, turning quickly. The light bulb above her flickers and then goes out completely, plunging her into darkness. Lucy pulls desperately at the doorknob, but it's stuck, as if the lock has changed. She rattles it, panicking, the air growing colder around her. Lucy, let me out, please, let me out. The door won't budge. She backs away, gasping for breath. The whispering begins again, louder now, and she hears it more clearly. Voice, you're not alone, ... Lucy backs into the corner of the closet, clutching the key. She trembles as she notices something else in the corner of the room. A shadowy figure slowly emerging from the darkness. The figure remains motionless, just standing there. Lucy's eyes widened in terror. Lucy, no, ... no, ... please. She takes a step forward, reaching for the door, but before she can touch it, the figure raises a hand, signaling her to stop. The faint sound of scraping metal fills the room. The last sound heard before the screen cuts to black is a soft knock from inside the room, slowly growing louder. The whispering stops. Voice, you can't leave. The end there was an unsettling quiet in Lucy's apartment. It wasn't the peaceful kind of silence that you could hear a pin drop. It was the kind that pressed against your ears, making you feel like you were being watched. The walls seemed to be closing in on her. She sat on the edge of her bed, clutching a throw pillow close to her chest, listening intently to the silence. Where was the hum of the refrigerator? Where was the distant chatter of her neighbors? Where was the gentle trickle of the fountain in the courtyard below? It had been there every day for months, but now there was nothing, just an unnerving quiet. Lucy got up, walked to the window, and looked out at the courtyard. Everything seemed normal. People were walking their dogs, children were playing, cars were driving by. There was nothing out of the ordinary. So why did she feel like something was terribly wrong? Why did she feel like she was being watched? Then she heard it. A knock. A soft, hollow sound that echoed in the oppressive silence. Lucy whirled around. She had not made that sound. She knew it because she had nothing to hit against the wall. Had someone entered her apartment? No, the door was locked. Lucy had double-checked before sitting down. She imagined the knock. She couldn't be sure. A shiver ran down her spine. Then she heard it again. Another knock. This time there was no mistaking it. Someone or something was in her apartment. Lucy stood frozen, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. Then a whisper. A voice so close she could feel its breath on her neck, saying her name, Lucy, Lucy, over and over again. We screamed and stumbled backwards. Who was there? What did they want? Lucy started to run around the room, her eyes wide with terror, searching for the source of the knock and the whisper. But there was nothing there. The room was empty. Was she going crazy? Is this some cruel joke played by her friends? But they were all out of town? As she continued to pace, her eyes fell on the nightstand beside her bed. On top of it was a drawer with an old brass key protruding from it. The key was ornate, with tiny carvings that looked like vines, or perhaps bones. When had she seen it before? She couldn't remember. Lucy felt a sudden urge to unlock the drawer, as if whatever was in it would somehow explain what was happening. She put the key in, turned it, and the drawer creaked open. Inside, nestled in a layer of tissue paper, was a small wooden box. Trembling, Lucy lifted the box, blew off the dust, and examined it closely. There was a small indentation on top, almost like a keyhole. Could this be the key to the box? Excited and terrified in equal measure, she tried it. The key fit perfectly. With shaking hands, she opened the box. Inside was a stack of yellowed letters tied together with a faded ribbon. Curiosity got the better of Lucy. She untied the ribbon and lifted the letters one by one, trying to make out the faded ink. They were addressed to her, written in a spidery handwriting that looked hauntingly familiar. But before she could read any further, she heard it again, the knock. It was coming from the other side of the room. Lucy spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. The knock came again, followed by another whisper, closer this time. Lucy, Lucy, I'm here. Her blood ran cold. She recognized that voice. It was her grandmother's voice. But her grandmother had been dead for 10 years. Lucy dropped the letters and ran to the door, frantically searching for the lock, but there wasn't one. She tried to throw it open, but it was locked. Desperately, she started to scream, banging on the door, "Help! Let me out!" But her screams were muffled, trapped in the room with her. Lucy sank to the floor, sliding down the door, burying her face in her knees. Then the knocking started again, louder now, more insistent. Lucy raised her head and listened. The knocking stopped. A moment she held her breath, then she heard it again, right behind her. Slowly, very slowly, Lucy turned around. In the corner of the room, she saw a shape emerge from the darkness. At first it was indistinct, like a shadow given form, but as it moved closer, she could see that it was a man. He was tall and thin, with long, bony fingers that dragged on the floor. His face was pale and drawn, his eyes dark and soulless. Fear choked Lucy, making it hard to breathe. Who was he? How had he gotten in her apartment? And why was he standing there watching her? The man took a step forward, and Lucy screamed, scrambling backwards. He kept advancing, his eyes never leaving hers. She felt trapped, cornered by an unseen force that was both terrifying and irresistible. As the man approached, Lucy noticed his clothes. They looked old-fashioned, like something you'd see in a vintage photograph. His shirt was a faded brown, his trousers were a rough canvas material, and he wore a tattered black coat that reached his ankles. He stopped in front of her, so close that she could see the dried flakes of skin hanging from his fingertips. His lips moved, but she couldn't hear what he said. Then he held out a hand, beckoning to her. Hesitantly, Lucy got to her feet. Doe. Her legs trembled beneath her. Should she go to him? Was this a trap? But something compelled her forward, drawing her to him like a moth to a flame. She reached out a hand, touched his arm, and recoiled in horror. His skin was cold, like touching a grave on a winter's day. Then he pulled her hand away and placed it on his chest. There was a sound, a thump, like a heartbeat, but it wasn't a heartbeat. Lucy wanted to scream, to tear her hand away, but she couldn't move. It was as if an invisible force was holding her in place. The man leaned closer, his breath stale and cold on her skin. He whispered, his voice a dry, rustling sound like dead leaves skittering across pavement. He told her things about her family, about her past, things she never shared with anyone. How did he know them? Lucy struggled against the unseen force, but it was no use. She was stuck between the man and the whispers, unable to escape. Then suddenly, everything changed. The room lurched violently, throwing Lucy off balance. The man stumbled back, his eyes wide with surprise. The next moment, the door slammed shut with a resounding bang. Lucy cried out and rushed to the door, pounding on it frantically. "Help! Let me out!" But the door didn't budge, was locked. In a panic, she turned to the window, but it was too high. She couldn't reach it. Lucy slid down the window, tears streaming down her face. She was trapped. Then the light went out, plunging the room into darkness. Screaming, Lucy scrambled for the door, her hand finding the knob. She turned it, but the door wouldn't open. As her fingers fumbled on the cool surface of the door, she heard it again, the soft knock. The same one she had heard at the start of this nightmare. Lucy froze. The knock grew louder. She wasn't alone. And in the darkest corner of the room, a whisper slithered towards her. "Lucy, Lucy, I'm here. Now step into my room."